Joshua Warren is the founder and president of LEMUR, Paranormal Investigations in Asheville, North Carolina. They use the scientific method to research and document unexplainable activity, including ghostly phenomena, psychic activity, reports of UFOs, and cryptozoology matters. Warren has appeared on the Discovery Channel, Travel Channel, and is the author, of course, of numerous books, included Haunted Asheville. He's been on Coast to Coast before. And he's going to talk with us about some astounding moon footage, and it really is incredible. Joshua, welcome back to Coast. How are you?
Oh, doing wonderful, thank you.
Good to talk with you. Tell us a little bit about this footage. What do you think's going on here?
It really is amazing, and to give everyone background, in 1968, NASA sent the first manned mission to the moon, Apollo 8, and it didn't actually land on the moon, but instead orbited around the lunar surface about 10 times and sent back some live imagery to the Earth. And, of course, that imagery was presumably not edited. Well, in 1999, the NOVA program to the moon included a clip of some of this footage. And there was an anomaly that only lasts about 2 seconds. It's easy to miss it if you're not looking for it. That was noticed by a researcher named Charles Yost, who used to work for NASA and is now the executive editor of Electric Spacecraft. And he noticed that in this 2-second clip, as the Apollo 8 footage is being shot apparently about 70 miles above the lunar surface, this tall, black, cylindrical object appears jutting out of the moon. It probably is, well, it sort of looks like a smokestack sticking out of the ground. And just as the camera is about to move past this object, it releases a jet-like cloud, and it looks very much like a smokestack releasing a puff of smoke. The most amazing thing is that if indeed this footage was shot from 70 miles above the lunar surface, well, then this object must be thousands of feet tall. And considering that humans had never even walked on the moon at this point, that didn't happen until the following year, it is amazing to think that an object like this could exist on the moon. And, of course, it raises a whole plethora of questions about what this is and how truthful NASA has been about what is on the moon.
I'll tell you, I've been looking at this picture all day, Joshua, and then the series of pictures, and it is strange because you can clearly see this tiny footage, as you say, of this black object. It's got to be at least several hundred feet long, don't you think? Based on the size of it and the size of the moon?
Yeah, I would say so, and right now I'm waiting to get some more official estimates as to how tall this object would have to be if indeed it was shot from 70 miles above. And of course, there's very little reason to think that this could be some sort of an optical illusion, because for one thing, it remains stationary on the lunar surface as the camera passes by. It changes as the camera's perspective is altered, and then of course this jet-like cloud sort of drifts to the right and dissipates, and altogether it's very difficult to think this could be any sort of an optical illusion. And if it is not an illusion, well then, it raises several possibilities. In my own personal opinion, of course, some people have speculated that NASA faked some of the moon footage. If that's correct, well, it's really even less likely this type of anomaly would appear if they had control over the scenery. On the other hand, if this footage is indeed from the moon, then it must indicate there's some strange technology up there about which they've never told the truth. If so, who put it there, humans or other intelligence, and what is its purpose? And, of course, if this is from the moon and NASA has never noticed it, however unlikely, then they need to do a serious and immediate investigation to explain the anomaly.
Is it possible that, of course you say that as the camera moved, it stayed stationary, so it couldn't have been a little blemish on the lens, right?
That's correct. Something like lint or debris on the lens shouldn't behave in the way that this does, and it certainly shouldn't stay at that same spot and have that sort of change as the camera's perspective is altered passing by it. And so there's really no reason to believe that it is some sort of blemish or optical illusion, in my opinion.
And there does appear to be some kind of plume of smoke or something right next to it.
Yes, sure enough, and I mean it looks like it's ejected very powerfully from the top of this, and again, just very much like a smokestack, releasing a puff of smoke, and this is just sticking straight up out of the lunar surface. You could also imagine that if indeed there was some knowledge that some sort of an object like this was on the moon, it might be easy to assume that from an altitude of 70 miles that it wouldn't show up. Nonetheless, clearly this did show up, and so it could be a slip-up of some kind, and even though it may be difficult to believe that NASA didn't notice this, they have many, many hours worth of moon footage. It's ironic that this 2-second clip would make it onto the NOVA program without anyone realizing its significance, but still, there's no telling really what other types of anomalies like this may be in the footage that has not been released or has been released and no one has picked up on it yet.
Joshua, are these pictures now beginning to make their way to groups and organizations such as yours that are going to truly try to get to the bottom of this?
Yes, absolutely. We are doing everything we can to analyze these photographs and glean as much information as possible based upon them. But, of course, the frustrating thing always is that when it comes to information about the moon or really about deep space in general, we just have to rely upon what they say. And, of course, we collectively fund their efforts, so they are actually accountable to us, and we deserve to have truth. But at the same time, there's really nothing we can do other than just ask them again and again and hope that they'll be honest with us.
Now, if everybody wants to take a look at this picture again, it's on the website under Hot Stories, and Lex also has it as a link up right under Joshua Warren's name and his organization. And there's no question, it looks like, to me also, some kind of a smokestack or something protruding from the moon. I mean, you really have to look closely there, but once you zero in on it, you're going to see it. And then there are a couple frames where you see almost like a little puff of smoke or something that emits from this smokestack. I mean, it's almost as if it doesn't look like a volcano because it's obviously it's too thin. It looks like a cylinder. It looks like there's a huge pipe sticking into the moon, doesn't it?
It certainly does to me, and of course we're happy that we were able to take these stills that were used in the electric spacecraft issue and recombine them to replicate the footage. And it's really valuable to have that movement there to actually see how it behaves as the camera passes by. And of course, at very least, if this is some sort of a geologic anomaly on the moon, and I can't imagine what it would be, but at very least, then we need to know more about what the surface of the moon is really like. And this could have, direct implications when it comes to some of the questions about inconsistencies in NASA's footage, as well as